Hey guys, Vega here from Serpent X Special Forces, and today I want to talk to you about the Asus Dual RTX 2080 OC. Now this card is the lower tier cards of Asus product line, kind of like the Asus Prime motherboard versus the Asus ROG. The high end of the 2000 series that Asus has to offer is of course the Strix model, but this card is perfectly capable. There are some, downfalls of the card, which I'll get into in more detail later, but it's basically made up of the same IP5X dust resistant material that most of our GPUs or graphics cards are made of these days. It is a beefy card. If any of you had the privilege of having a 1080 Ti, most of those cards, especially the Aorus 1080 Ti, which I have now moved to my mining rig, it was pretty big. Well, these cards are bigger, or if not, if you had that card, the Aorus or any other 1080 Ti that's a decent size, I think the most of those came in 2.5. Well, these 2080 cards are coming in 2.7, sometimes 3 slot. Well, I mean, they do take up 3 slots because it's 2.7. So sitting there, especially trying to run these guys in with NVLink, you're gonna have limited room, especially if you're on fan, unless you go down an extra slot to give yourself that extra space and breathing room for those cards. Now this card comes with a number of bloatware, but aesthetically for my system it's perfect. It's black, it's white. Unfortunately it doesn't have any RGB, so if you're into RGB, this probably won't be the card for you. It's pretty big, so make sure you got room in your system, especially if you're running a micro ATX or ITX. You're probably not going to want to get this type of card, but I think most of the 2000 series are pretty huge, so for ITX builds it's going to be a pain, but I'm sure there's one out there, for example. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and jump over into that area. So when I got this card at launch, it was around $739. Now it's $839, so it jumped up $100. And for the ITX that I was just talking about, maybe the Zotac blower style cooler would be a benefit for you. Looks like it's a normal 2 slot card instead of 2.7, which most of these cards are 2.7, 2.5, somewhere in there. But you can see that the pricing since launch has jumped up. Even the Zotac jumped up $30. It was like $739 as well. And the Asus Strix of the regular 2080 is about $30 more than the OC edition. So we got 2 fans versus the normal triple fan design. These are mostly, I'm pretty sure all of these are reference design, or reference PCB that Nvidia provided to them, and then they slapped on whatever they wanted. Now this card, the Asus Dual, does come with a aluminum backplate that looks pretty legit, and I'll show that to you later. But it's got the same fan wings, blades, whatever you want to call them, design that we're familiar with. Temps stay relatively cool. They have the zero spin setup, so that way if your temps are below 55, it won't spin at all. So keeping that noise level down. And I didn't really notice a difference even while gaming with the noise level up. And I do have my fan, my case fans throttled, so that way it's nice and quiet but still getting that good airflow. The cooler is just so beefy. It's so huge, especially in the system. This backplate though is what you would see on the card, or this Asus Dual card, or probably even any of the Dual series, to be honest. And it's aluminum backplate. I wouldn't say it's helping with heat dissipation or anything like that. Gamers Nexus already debunked that one, but it does help with keeping the card rigid, keeping it stable. Honestly, until we continue to test it, as big as these coolers are, I'm pretty sure that there might be some GPU sag, and of course there's steps to prevent that if you're really concerned. I'm not concerned about it. Even with the 1080 Ti from Aorus, I was having no issues with GPU sag. They did put it through a 144-hour validation test, basically running games and 3D Mark to benchmark. And the software it comes with, I haven't used in a while. The GPU Tweak 2, I just don't use this too much. It's either MSI Afterburner or even what is it, the EVGA X1, the EVGA Precision X1. You can use that to kind of auto tune and everything like that. But it does give you the capability of controlling or sync if you do have RGB and or Asus board. I don't, and this card doesn't have RGB, so there's really no need for it. It does come with XSplit 1 year premium. I already have it, so I don't need it. I don't even use it as much as I would like to, because the 7700K is not good for streaming. Anyways, moving on. Comes with WT Fast. I think this is like CFOS speed from like ASRock to help out with LAN connectivity and speed, but I don't have any issues whatsoever. But it's supposed to reduce game ping, increase internet stability, all that good stuff. Quantum Cloud, profit from GPU power. Quantum Cloud is a simple and secure service that lets you effortlessly earn extra money by putting your idle GPU to work. Through an easy-to-use app, your computer can help run cloud-based applications, making you money in the process. Earnings are automatically transferred to your WeChat or PayPal account, and your privacy remains intact because no personal data is stored online. Get started with making money today. And there's all kinds of different choices for these GPU or compute crunching programs that can actually earn you money besides cryptocurrency. And if you're interested in the video on cryptocurrency and the performance of the 2080, I did do one that I'll have linked in the description or at the end of this video. Performance wise though, so that way you can get your numbers and find out. I also have a thread on Reddit, which I'll try to link in the description as well. I mean, this card, besides, you know, the basics that we're familiar with Nvidia, it's an alright card. It's not the worst. It's not the best. It's not the worst though. So it's definitely gonna get the job done. I do have some performance numbers that I can go over with you guys. But honestly, the 2080, I wasn't expecting it to be all that in a bag of chips, to be completely honest with you. When I initially bought it, it was more or less to test, get some metrics, get some data, get some numbers, share it with the community, and that's all we've been doing lately, and it's actually been pretty good. Of course, a lot of people are doing benchmarks and competing, but the 2080 Ti is where it's at for performance. Unfortunately, the price of that card is ridiculous, so I wouldn't recommend spending that amount of money on that card unless you're really absolutely willing to. The 2080, it's kind of the same thing, but I'll get to that at the end of the video just to wrap things up. But performance wise, I'll show you some HWBot information. And as far as games, check out Hardware Unbox, because they did 35 games reviewed with the 2000 series. I can't remember if it was the 2080 Ti or 2080, but if you want like every single game performance metrics, go check Hardware Unbox. For me, running Hardware Bot and doing some testing and stuff like that on 3D Mark 11, which a lot of people don't use anyways, the 2080 was able to outpace my 1080 Ti by a little bit, especially two 1070s and SLI. Go into a more common benchmark like Firestrike Extreme, the 2080 fell behind the 1080. And you know, overclocking my system, trying to keep everything the same, fan speeds the same, overclocks the same, all that good stuff, trying to give these guys a level battleground to fight on, really didn't show in favor of the 2080. The 1080 Ti is still the king in certain areas. The 2080 is right there on its heels though. In certain cases, the 2080 did beat out the 1080, but Ti, but it depends on certain games and what's being rendered, what's being computed, all that good stuff. So you have to take that into account. The GDDR6 though is definitely an improvement between generation to generation. But honestly, the jump that we've seen from the past to now, from the 7 series to the 9 series to the 10 series to the 20 series, the jump between each one or each generation was a little bit more significant in my eyes. Now the 2080 is supposed to be a successor to the 1080, 980. So the 2080 is doing its job. It surpassed its brother, the 1080, but it's not surpassing the 1080 Ti. So those who spend $600, $700 on a 1080 Ti are not as disappointed because they got a card that's more powerful than theirs. Now, obviously, we can all hop to the 2080 to get the TI version to get the best performance, but do you have, or are you willing to spend that much money? That's up to you. But that performance hike or price to performance is bad in this generation. Of course, until we see Team Red get into the game and AMD bring some competition, Nvidia is going to be able to charge the prices that they want to. So let's continue on. I'm going to show you some slides, some games, and then I'll wrap up things here and kind of give you my last final thoughts on it. Alright guys, definitely check out Hardware Unbox if you want to see some more titles, performance metrics of the 2080 series, or I believe they have the 2080 Ti as well. There's plenty of other channels out there if they don't, that can give you the information you're looking for. I just wanted to show you the few titles that I've done or I've tested. I've done a lot more, but I didn't get any metrics to that caliber that they have, or that scientific data that they have. This is what the 2080 looks like in my system. Aesthetically, it works well with my Z270 Tachi, so I'm completely content with it. If you're more of an RGB guy, this card may not be for you. If you have a system that's obviously conflicting with the white and black scheme, then this card might not be for you. But besides aesthetics, performance-wise, we saw temps somewhere in the honestly, the average I saw was between 66 and 72 during games. Stress testing, we got all the way up to 83, 84. But it definitely does keep everything in cool and in check, and no problem. But moving forward, we're still waiting on ray tracing and deep learning super sampling. We're waiting on the game developers to enable these features, which we have some in the, Battlefield 5, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, Corsa, and many other titles are going to be releasing patches, or when the game launches. Hopefully we see those ray tracing features or the cores start to be utilized. But we can't compare this card fully to the 1080 Ti without having the full capability of this card. So we're still waiting on that. It's certainly capable. It certainly keeps cool. It can play AAA titles, but it's going to do that in the same performance level as the 1080 Ti at this current date. Until later, when we start seeing ray tracing and deep learning super sampling, maybe we might see a little bit of a performance hike, but you're spending $100 or sometimes more to get a 1080 Ti performance. So you can pick yourself up a 1080 Ti for relatively cheaper, get the same level of performance with no problems. The 2080 certainly has, especially this model, certainly has its downfalls compared to other models like EVGA or the Asus Strix, the bigger brother. But it's capable of doing the job that it was designed to do. Just whether or not you want to spend that amount of money to get there is completely up to you. Besides temps, gaming performance, and the mining data, I am personally content with this card. I am not content with how Nvidia launched it, the pricing that Nvidia launched it at, and the marketing that Nvidia did, and the falseness or lies or kind of deception that they had laid out during this launch. But that's not my opinion to Nvidia is irrelevant. Just know that if you want this card, you're going to get 1080 Ti level of performance at this current time. If ray tracing and deep learning super sampling comes out in the future, you might see some additional benefits, but you're basically getting a 1080 Ti performance level for $100 more, $100 more than 1080 Ti. So thanks for watching, guys. Like, share, subscribe, and comment below. Let me know what you think of this card. Is it junk? Is it good? Do you think it performs well? Would you spend $800 or more for a card like this when you can get a 1080 Ti for cheaper? I want to know all your thoughts, so let me know in the comments below. Definitely check out, if you're interested in mining, check out the mining performance information. That will give you some data to go off of and determine whether or not that's something you also want to invest in, because maybe you might get this card for gaming and the hopes or relying upon Nvidia and game developers for ray tracing and utilization of deep learning super sampling, but you also want to mine on the side so you can get your ROI back on this card, because the 20,000 series or 20,000 series is expensive as hell, and it's completely not worth it in my book or my eyes. Anyways, guys, I'm done ranting. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.